Alright, so here we have the Akez 500w electric scooter, which I picked up for $600 plus postage. And so far it seemed like a fairly solid scooter. Decent speed, decent range, the tyres hold up well on the loose stuff. But when I was out on the gravel rail trail yesterday, I slammed on the front brakes and the caliper came completely undone. So today we are going to look at replacing that bolt, because obviously it's shot out. I'm never going to find that again on a gravel path. And we're going to try and fix it up. Hopefully the threads aren't completely munted. And I can get this thing working again. Now, we have front and rear disc brakes with pretty good stopping power for someone my size, but only having a rear brake sucks, because that rear disc will lock up the tyre and you'll go for a skid, especially on the gravel. So, with no further ado, let's get this thing unpacked and we'll get to it. Now, unpacking this beastie is really simple. You've just got the locking latch there, one for the seat post up here, and the handles here. To undo that latch, all you have to do is give the wheel a bit of a wiggle, and the handlebars are as simple as lifting up. And of course, to undo, what we do is slide that locking collar forward. Okay, you couldn't see that because my fat hands were in the way. Look, it is particularly difficult to do one-handed. So, slide, fold, and then clip up. As for the seat, roll it up. You've got a locking pin down here, so just push that in, put your quick release up, nice and firm, undo the seat, turn, clip, raise. The handlebars are as easy as another quick release here, raise and fold. What we're looking at here is this missed bolt. The bolt has spat out of here. We do have a bit of leaf litter in there. So what we need to do is find a replacement bolt. And we're just going to try and thread it back in there just to make sure it's secure. And then I think what I'd like to do is to take them all off, inspect them, and put a bit of Loctite on there again. Because there's nothing quite so unnerving as having your brake calipers come loose while you're riding at speed. So this should be a nice simple process. We are just going to get in here, now we are going to find a replacement. Hopefully I can find one that's about that size. Even if I do find one that's a little bit longer, I'll pack it with washers and spring washers. But while we have that off, you can see all the dust and grease that's come off there already. But we do have a lot of material on those pads, so they should last a long time. The disc doesn't feel loose, but it does just appear to be the one bolt that we've lost. So I'm going to go and try and find a replacement for that, and I know just where to look. Alright, so we are down here in what passes for the motorised bike garage, and as you can probably tell, I haven't ridden in a while. The reason why you haven't seen an update on the Mark III with the reed valve is the state of these tyres and the state of these brakes. They all need replacing. It's just too unsafe to ride, and rather than risk my neck for your entertainment, I'll put it off for another day. But what I wanted to do was come down here and grab one of these out, because I suspect that will be nearly the right size. Now, at first glance, the silver one is our replacement, although looking at the clearance, I don't think that this bolt is going to interfere with the disc. So being a bit longer is not going to be much of a problem, I don't think. Now, I had considered, when I got this, pulling everything apart and Loctiting utterly everything, but I thought I'd give this scooter the benefit of the doubt just to try and see what kind of quality we're working with. And just run that around there. You little bugger can go that way. Now all the threads are of course on the caliper side. Alright, we're just going to wind that one in. Now of course I'm not doing that up too tight, just like everything else. I want to get all the bolts in first. That's only sticking out by about 2 mil on the other end. So that should be plenty. We're of course winding that in by hand. Now we're going to knit them up. That's nice and tight. Now we need a functionality test. All we're going to do is roll the scooter backwards and forwards. Now squeeze the brakes. No movement. They are really, really solid brakes. And I think what had happened when I was riding it is I just slammed them on too much. Because of the loose surface, I just threw that bolt straight out. Alright. So I went ahead and Loctited the rear bolt here. Now I did notice that there was a bit of blue Loctite on at the factory. As you can see, I've already test fitted this one. I pulled it back out because, like an idiot, I didn't make sure that the camera was actually recording. But the Loctite they put on in the factory was only halfway around. So that's why I like to make sure that the Loctite has a nice bead all the way around the thread. And it is a complete accident that the Loctite matches my nails today, but I call that synergy in motion. So we're going to drop that in there. I'm going to roll that down. I'm going to nip it up. Not too tight. Don't over tight your threads because you'll end up stripping the threads on the inside, and that's no good for anyone. Alrighty. Now after my first ride, I did go over all the bolts and they were still tight. So this I didn't do a pre-ride check before I went for a ride yesterday because I assumed, because nothing had come undone yet, that it wasn't going to. And that's a mistake that a lot of us make with this hobby. So I'm just going to go and run around now with the 5mm. Pretty much every Allen bolt on this thing is 5mm. And we're just going to go ahead and make sure that everything else is still a-okay. I've had to tighten these seat bolts once already. In the base of the post here. Just because I am a heavy rider, I do put a lot of stress onto this seat and the post. But all in all, it seems to be holding up really well. Just checking to make sure the cables are tight in the brake calipers. I'll just nip up the front ones again just to make sure that they're tight. checking the frame at the front. Let's just check to make sure the light is tight. We don't want that falling off. Alright, so the front axle is a 9mm, not 8mm, sorry, that's tight. So, of course, all I want to do here is just check all the mounting points underneath the deck. Which, oh, that's quite loose there. Nope, but I am glad that I caught that loose bolt there, because that would be an utter nightmare to have your steering column come loose while you're driving at speed. So with everything nipped up, I'm fairly happy with the way it went back together. Fairly easy just to replace that M8 bolt. All I need to do now is wait for the GoPro to charge, and I'll take it out for a ride, and I guess we'll just see how we go. There's not much else to say about this scooter at the moment, because I've only taken it out for about 3 or 4 rides. So all I can really do is keep riding it, keep an eye out for when things break, and fix them when they do. I just want to appreciate the fact that I can still tool around with the bikes and not chip my nails.